Hello, hope you are doing well. It's Watkins again. Our buildings. There is one common challenge that I've seen on most of the buildings. Perhaps you must have seen them somewhere, or even at home, school, wherever. It's a common problem. It's around rising dampness. If you've been so keen, if you check most of the buildings, the lower part, that foundation part which protrudes off the ground level, usually the paint peels off, even the plaster peels off, and it peels off in a dusty form and falls off, and then reaching an extent of exposing the brick or block work. Then you come and do patches, then after some time the same thing happens, and then you keep wondering why. That is what we call rising dampness. It is a common problem, and it is caused by many reasons, some of which are preventable. You can have them off, but others are not, as I'm going to elaborate further. One of the common problems of rising dampness is our poor construction methods. There is something called commonly called DPC, but it is called DPM, damp-proof membrane. That polythene layer that is placed onto that foundation, that course, before the main wall for the superstructure is erected, so that it blocks any moisture rising from the foundation going upward. What is important is what material is it and what weather conditions can it withstand. And another concern should be, if it is of good material, how has it been applied? If they cut it to the edge of the block of the brick and do not leave the gap that when somebody doing the plaster should have it also protrude any further, then we shall have moisture now. The one which is in the blockwork or brickwork will be blocked, but the one which is in the plaster won't be blocked, because the polythene or the DPM was cut at the edge, flashing with the edge of the brick or the block. Secondly, we can have it caused by the splashing rainwater. It is raining heavily and rain is hitting the wall, and the wall eventually wets, and that constant wet conditions cause the plaster to be weakened. That one can be prevented by raising the foundation off the ground, so that at least that one, the water does not hit the wall direct. Maybe it hits the stone pitched wall that has been done on the ground. Another cause is that when we are casting slab, the slab technically is supposed to cover the plinth wall. The plinth wall is that wall which is built from the foundation, deep in the foundation in the soil, and when it reaches somewhere we stop and now we begin the main one. So that one which comes out of the ground level is a plinth wall. So the slab technically is supposed to cover, and within the slab we are supposed to put the DPM as well, to make sure that that moisture is retained inside. The foundation does not go beyond even into the concrete, because even when the concrete is reinforced, we don't need moisture to attack steel, something that can lead to corrosion. So most of people just do cast and they don't put it there. So even if you do it on the wall, once it is not done inside, then somewhere somehow the walls inside also get affected. Why? Because the joint between the slab and the wall will allow some moisture to escape and affect the plaster just above the slab. So if you check in your rooms, in your bedrooms, in your sitting rooms, dining, somewhere down, you will see it. It is common, and those are some of the causes. There are some foundations that need special treatment or special attention, especially those that are in water-logged areas, those that are in areas that have more water. So those are to treat them using waterproofing materials. There are very many on the market, but we need to check their quality and modes of application. And that one is a detailed information of it. Then there is one more common problem that we usually, actually one more common scenario that I've seen where we only concentrate on stopping water from attacking, and that one is done with paint, whereby we actually, I think the name which is now used is weather guard or something like that, or oil paint, whereby we are blocking any entrance of moisture, which is okay and good. We are protecting the building, and we are trying to stop water, whatever, from entering, moisture from entering our building. Even some of these walls are washable, because even if you put the water, it will not enter into the building. That is okay. But we forget one more thing, that internally, if there is moisture that is coming from inside the building, inside the wall, it needs to find its way out. If there is moisture that is generated inside the wall, from my previous communication, if the DPM has been weakened and now moisture has escaped to the wall and it has to find its way out, by all means, it even pours out with the paint itself. Despite the fact that you protected, then it pours out with the paint. It's with the protector. It comes out with how you use it to protect. So it goes back to the concern that we need to take into consideration both before we protect outside. How are we inside? Before we protect the outside, if inside we are not okay, then there is no much need. That's why most of the paste paint that is used to protect, you find it has peeled off. It has peeled off because the moisture that is coming from inside has to find its way out. What could be the recommendations? One is to make sure that we revise our technical modes of application of some of these materials. If they are not technically competent, if they are not well installed, they can't serve the purpose. They cannot serve the purpose. So we need to do that. Secondly, is that paint. We need to have some paint that allows both. So even if rain goes there and then kind of becomes wet, once the rain has stopped, it can dry because there is some area for breathing. You can let out what has been taken inside, so the wall remains okay because it can allow for in and out. So not just entirely blocking water. However, we have cases whereby we need to entirely block water from entering, especially for the drainage and channels. We just need to have a surface runoff. But some other ways, we need to have that allowance of in and out because we expect some moisture to come from inside, especially when somebody is mopping the house. I don't know what that does. So somewhere, somehow, because of the activities that are in-house, some moisture needs to get out. So somewhere, somehow, we need to think of such. Thank you very much. Yeah.